Welcome, everyone. My name is Gavin Claus with LogiStar Solutions, and I'm going to be your host for today. Today's presentation will be discussing how to integrate your SAP Parcel shipping by leveraging the XPS cross-carrier packing and shipping solution. Rahul Agarwal, the Vice President of Product Development, will provide an in-depth look at integrating your parcel and LTL shipping with multiple platforms, including core ERP, extended warehouse management, and transportation management. For those of you who have missed our previous webinars, they're available on our website, which is www.logi-star.com. That'll be as well listed on the final slide at the end of the presentation. A few housekeeping items before we get started. At a high level, I'm going to provide you with a brief overview of LogiStar Solutions. Then I'm going to hand over the microphone to Rahul Agarwal for the main presentation. During the presentation, please submit any questions via the chat feature. It's going to be should be on the right-hand side of your screen. We will be responding to those questions at the end of the presentation. If for some reason we run out of time or don't get to your question, feel free to send an email to info@logi-star.com. It's the same email that'll be again listed at the end of the presentation. Or if we have your information, we can follow up with that question directly. So let's get started. LogiStar is a solutions-focused company, really an SAP systems integrator that specializes in SAP supply chain execution. While we're what we might call a boutique consulting firm, we maintain the deepest experience in North America and Latin America in SAP Extended Warehouse Management and Warehouse Management. It's validated both by our customers as well as SAP with our many credentials, as you see listed on the slide here, including some exclusive designations such as our RDS partner status within North America. Being solution-focused, we work across many industries, really anyone that's moving product from point A to point B, and as well work in many verticals with some of the higher volume operations kind of falling into the wholesale distribution as well as retail environments. Move the next slide, Raul. So if that's got RF and barcoding, where we implement SAP's native solutions such as SAP Console and ITS Mobile. We've also developed and come up with a solution for voice picking called LogiVoice. LogiVoice is a solution that basically sits on top of your existing SAP transactions on the RF environment, providing a multimodal solution for data collection through voice capture as well as through barcode scanning. On the top right, we've got reference to the small parcel shipping, which we'll talk about today with our XPS product. As well, we work with SAP's transportation management solution, which is really designed for transportation planning and execution, and is a much more comprehensive solution that accounts for ocean freight, full truckload, etc., with the current version being on 8.0. The bottom left-hand side you see tied into warehouse management oftentimes is labor management, warehouse and labor analytics, and that's typically working within the extended warehouse management space. And on the bottom right, certainly not least, is we're a turnkey solution provider, so we many times are involved from the beginning of an implementation cycle, which allows us to cross-reference SAP evolution and warehouse offerings. So the strategic approach really allows us to compare across your network which operations are the right fit for the different SAP products, such as SAP's inventory management, warehouse management, extended warehouse management, and we help build our clients a roadmap to leverage those different technologies that are available from SAP. To give you a quick overview of the XPS global footprint here, XPS has been around for over 5 years. It's live at over 50 customers with over 250 sites globally. Really, I guess, captured the key global markets in North America with USA, Canada, Mexico, down south in Brazil, Costa Rica, and Chile. In Europe as well, with some of the larger footprints and larger markets for the SAP market, including Germany and the Netherlands, and in Asia Pacific, offering many countries there. And as we get into the slide deck, Raul will touch on a little bit about the carriers that are supported throughout the countries. As well, with these 50 customers, we've covered a very broad spectrum of industries. Again, anyone really that's shipping product and has a, I'll say, a medium to high requirement for parcel shipping. So when we look at these industries, some of them include aerospace, chemicals, electronics, pharmaceuticals, and 3PL. So with that said, I'd like to hand it over to Raul for the main presentation.
Thank you, Gavin. To give you a little bit background on XPS, XPS has been designed to allow you all of the activities that are related to parcel and LTL packing and shipping operations within your SAP environment. XPS does not utilize or does not need any other non-SAP components or middlewares like XI, PI, iDocs, RFC destinations, web methods, business connector. All of those requirements are eliminated with XPS. End users will be able to see or will need to see only their standard SAP environment, whether it is via GUI, via Citrix, via ITS web portal, regardless of the fact how they access SAP. As long as they access SAP, they will be able to utilize XPS. The process is going to be exactly the same, whether they are using ECC, EWM, or TM environment. XPS can support standalone environments, or they can have the integrated ECC with EWM or TM. And I will be touching on the architecture as well as the process flow for all of these three components. XPS also provides you complete end-to-end visibility within your standard SAP, within your existing SAP framework. So as soon as the package is shipped, you will have your tracking number, freight charges, and as package is being moved in the carrier supply chain till it is delivered to the end customer, XPS will bring the status back and it will display to your customer service, sales rep, logistics coordinator, allowing you to have proactive steps in case a package is being delayed or it is not delivered on time. You can always take the proactive steps. And again, the key idea here is all of the processes and visibility is within your existing SAP environment. All of the activities that are related to shipping and packing for parcel and LTL are supported by XPS. This includes all of the carrier compliant rules, all of the carrier required and compliant documentation, most of the global parcel carriers and all of the services that we support right now for the carriers, including accessorial options and very complex dedicated export consolidation services like Worldies, IPD, Transborder, IED. Our aim is to make sure XPS is able to handle all of your parcel and LTL shipping activities, and you don't have to worry about implementing standalone carrier system, non-SAP system, or carrier websites. In terms of hardware, we support, or XPS supports, all of the major label manufacturers. So chances are whatever hardware, whatever peripherals you're using in your warehouses right now, they will continue to work with XPS. So you will not have to again worry about procuring new hardware or new infrastructure in your warehouses and the shipping locations. This is the architecture that XPS utilizes within SAP. As I mentioned earlier, it does not need any XIPI, no web methods, no RFC or iDoc destination. All of the interaction is happening directly between SAP and the carrier rating engines using the standard SAP tools. The architecture is exactly the same whether you're using XPS in ECC or XPS in EWM or XPS in TM. So giving you a standard unified interface regardless of the SAP component. On the right-hand side, we have a list of some of the global carriers that we support right now. And all of these carriers are supported with XPS, so you don't have to go through certification, you don't have to go through any requirement finding with the carriers. As XPS was implemented in the Asia Pacific or European regions, we realized that clients tend to use a lot of localized or regional carriers that have very good service in a particular region, and they're not sophisticated enough to have the electronic interface. So we have a framework that allows you to add unlimited number of carriers as long as they can tell you what the label format is, what kind of rates, how they do rate calculation. So utilizing our framework, we are able to add any carrier on these such regional carriers. At the same time, we have interface, or we support all of the LTL carriers in North America. So whether you're using ELO, Old Dominion, SIA, it's one component where you are able to load your rate files. System will calculate the flow numbers, including the check digits. It will produce the bill of lading, whether you're using the straight bill of lading or Wix bill of lading. All of these are part of standard XPS software. We try to stay away from pricing based on the module that you have to pay this for import, export, this for custom document, this for LTL. With XPS, you get one software and you can pick and choose what features you want to use. In terms of a little bit technical information, XPS has been designed in its own certified namespace, so you're not getting a set of Z programs or Z tables once you get XPS. Everything is encapsulated in its own certified namespace. We send you the transport, your base system imports it in, and you have XPS. That's the only thing that is needed to get XPS in your SAP environment. Everything has been developed using the standard, latest, and greatest SAP tool. So we want to make sure as SAP is moving towards object-oriented ABAP, we are utilizing those tools rather than having to worry about what will be de-supported with SAP. We realize that every client has very unique transportation requirement. So within our software, within XPS, we have included many baddies behind every button click, behind screen display. And those baddies are, again, your SAP COE or your SAP team can take control on the baddies, and they can incorporate your business rules. So again, we are making sure you have the tools to be able to customize and roll out additional sites within your internal SAP team, and you don't have to rely on the vendors to make additional enhancements. So you have the option to always come to the XPS team or LogiStar to roll out additional or make enhancements, or you can have your internal team take control of that. All of the XPS objects, all of the XPS screens and functions, we expose them from the technical functions point of view. So any of the functions you can perform outside of XPS screen. So if you want to do rate shopping, shipping, end-of-day transmission, voiding, labeling, you can integrate them with your custom screens, your RF screens, your sales order or delivery screens. So you don't have to use R screens if you prefer to do so, or if your business process demands to do so. We have it has been designed for very fast throughput. We have clients who are shipping, up to 200,000 packages every day from a single instance of XPS. So it has been designed for very fast. Or XPS will be able to send a printer formatted language, whether you're using GPL, Intermax, ATO. So we can send the label printer formatted string, and then your conveyor system or label applicator can take that string and apply the label to the package. So we are trying to make sure, again, all of your parcel and LTL shipping activities, all of your transportation activities are supported and controlled within your XPS environment. Since XPS resides in XPS SAP, your user's point of view, they see one screen, same set of transactions. So this makes the maintenance and additional rollout very easy for your team. Whether you're shipping from Australia or Europe, North America, South America, it's the same process, same screen, regardless of the carrier, regardless of the service. So when users have an issue, support team are able to very quickly take control and find out where if the data is wrong, if the process is wrong, or anything else is going on. Some of the distinguishing factor that if you're using XPS just in the standalone ECC environment, as I mentioned again earlier, XPS you can utilize with your RF transaction. Also, you can have your custom packing screen for your shipping operation, so you don't have to use XPS shipping screens. We have clients who are using that sort of one-touch or no-touch operations where they have the RF guns, they do the pick pack, and as soon as the packing is completed, they also get the shipping label on their mobile printer. So end user doesn't have to go to a physical desk. They never have to go to a shipping zone or shipping location. Pick, pack, and ship is being done in one step. Standard SAP comes with the VL02 packing screen or their own packing screen, but in working with many clients over the past 10-15 years, we have realized that customers have always been asking for more in terms of packing. So as a standard feature, XPS comes with its own packing screen, and you have the option to decide whether you want to use our packing screen or continue to use the packing screen that you're using right now and use XPS just for shipping. So you have that option available to you always. But our packing screens offer you a lot more than your standard SAP packing screens. For example, ability to capture the serial number right at the time of packing. We have a customer where we did the integration from our packing screens with the RFID readers directly. So this customer had about 60 to 80,000 serial numbers in one package. So so we are able to read those many serial numbers, update SAP, perform goods issue, etc. And user doesn't have to worry about RFID interface. They don't have to worry about AII, or they don't have to go to separate screens. Any of the operations, you want to do the data validation upstream in the supply chain. Most of the time, by the time package arrives at the shipping location, the warehouse, end users may not be, or shippers may not be able to fix the errors that may come up, like wrong customer account number or service is not supported to a particular destination. So more and more clients, more and more processes, they want to validate this data upstream in the supply chain. So utilizing our validation function or rate shopping function, at the time of sales order or delivery itself, you can perform, you can get the rate codes, you can perform all of the data validation. So you want to make sure by the time packages arrive in the warehouse for shipping, you have tried to take care of all of the compliance issues from the carrier as much as possible. Manual shipping, most of the SAP companies have requirement to ship something that is not in SAP, like non-stock items, promotional items, or simple documents that they may have to ship to their vendors or carriers' clients. So rather than them having to go to the carrier website or utilize a standalone carrier system, XPS has a screen where they can enter or type the address manually, get it from SAP tables, select carrier and service, and ship it. System will create the delivery without reference for you in the background automatically. So all of your reporting, your analytics tool, your KPIs, your visibility tool, they are in your standard SAP environment. So all of your shipping process, all of your transportation spendings, you will be able to run reports within SAP. You don't have to worry about how many packages I shipped on the carrier website, what was shipped outside of SAP. We are trying to eliminate that limitation by utilizing or by giving you this functionality within XPS, within SAP. Track and trace, again, you will have complete visibility within your standard SAP screen. So as soon as you go to SAP sales order, delivery, or shipments, you will be able to see what are the values associated with that handling unit or package, like tracking number, freight charges, fuel surcharges, whether you shipped with COD, who shipped it, and where it is in the carrier supply chain, if it has been delivered, if it has been delivered late. All of those information we are displaying in the standard SAP screens. So thus eliminating the requirements for additional training or writing additional reports, or you having to worry about whether the new program will meet up with your technical standards or not. We are utilizing the data and displaying the data in the standard SAP applications and documents. This is a sample of some of the data elements that we get back as part of the rating or shipping transactions. And again, our aim is to give you all or most of the information that will help your business team to make appropriate decisions. So the cost in terms of freight charges, XPS bring back contract rates, published rates, fuel surcharges, total accessorial rates, days in transit, estimated delivery date. This will also bring back the rates between your LTL carriers, 100-weight carriers, parcel carriers, so giving you again complete visibility of what carriers, what are the optimal carrier in service. Utilizing these results, if a customer says, I want my freight to be there, I want my package to be delivered within 1 day instead of the regular ground service, you can give them a price difference in the freight between air, next day, 2 day or ground. So again, the goal is to give you most of the information that you may need to convey to the clients or for system to be able to make a decision based on your business process. So you have the option to run it at the time of sales order. At the time of sales order, since there is no cartonization system, you have to make an estimate of the number of packages. So that is just an estimate. And at the time of delivery, after you have packed, if you want, you can do the rate shopping again or rate calculation again. And this time they will be as accurate as possible because system knows how many packages you have packed, what are the individual weights, what are the individual dimensions. So again, all of the information is in the system depending on how you want to use it and where you want to use it. This is a snapshot of where the information gets stored and displayed. So this is a standard SAP screen, standard SAP tab, and you can control and decide what information you want to see. So there is absolutely no limitation what can be made displayed here. So for example, most of the important thing is the tracking number for the handling unit. Most of the clients want that to be displayed. Some of the clients, they have about 20 or 30 different data elements that they want to see here. Who shipped it, when it was shipped, freight charge breakdown. So again, anything that is in SAP or any data that was generated as part of shipping transaction can be made visible here. So you have full control over how and what information to display here. Moving on to the EWM environment. So far we are talking about how XPS is integrated in ECC. If we talk about EWM, there are two scenarios. Once you have ECC plus EWM, or you may have standalone EWM environment. So XPS allows you all of the shipping operations that we talked about in ECC within your EWM standalone EWM environment as well. Similar to ECC approach, you have multiple ways how you can integrate or how you can use XPS with EWM. You can continue to use the standard EWM packing work center. That is where your end users will spend their day performing picking and packing operations, and you can tie XPS to those packing work center. For more complex shipping like export or hazardous information, you can use XPS screens that are delivered to you as part of the standard product, or you can make it more streamlined and integrate the shipping part of the EWM RF screen. So you have all of these options in your EWM environment. And to show you some screenshots of the processes, how they are integrated, this is a standard EWM packing workbench. And in EWM, SAP has the option to create new screens or activate new screens with just the BADI development. So you can have new development, new tabs for shipping and tracking with XPS. System knows what handling unit you're working on in EWM, so you don't need to scan anything or you don't need to go to a new screen. You just click on the ship button and system will print the label, perform the carrier check, freight charge calculation, come back, update EWM environment. And all of these will happen within sub-seconds. You can also initiate another tab where you can have user see all of the shipping results if that makes sense for your business processes. So again, we are utilizing the standard SAP EWM framework and giving you a way to integrate so you may want to use our screen for export shipping, hazardous shipping, COD shipping, or maybe you have the requirement to ship multiple packages together. Option to use our screen if you choose to. So users will do their pick pack operations, warehouse tasks in EWM screens, and when it arrives for the shipping stations, users will access this SAP transaction and then they will perform their shipping. Similarly, you can tie that automatically with the EWM RF screens, and process will be completely transparent to the user. This is your end-to-end process. So you will have your ECC delivery create. It will automatically be distributed to EWM. You will perform your EWM operations in terms of warehouse task, packing. You will have your shipping. This is where XPS will generate your freight charges, tracking number, labels, or any other shipping documentation. And then at some point of time, you'll perform goods issue in EWM. That is where, along with the standard package information from SAP, XPS will piggyback to the existing QRFCs, and it will send the shipping information back to ECC. And then somebody, as soon as they will go to the standard ECC screens, they will have the same information available. So even though everything was originated in EWM, I'm keeping up with the standard SAP framework, standard SAP architecture. We will send the information back from EWM to ECC, all the shipping-related information. So again, your customer service or your sales rep who have access to ECC, they will be able to see this information. So that was a quick overview of how you will use and what are the options you have in your EWM environment if you want to use XPS. Next will be XPS in TM environment in SAP TM. So you have multiple ways, again, how you want to use XPS in TM environment. So you can use SAP TM for all of your planning, all of your load optimization, vehicle optimization, and SAP TM will then determine the cheapest carrier, best mode of service, carrier service, send the data back to ECC, and you will actually do your warehouse operations in ECC. You also have the option to perform planning and execution both in the SAP TM environment. So again, depending on your business process, depending on your logistics infrastructure and architecture, you can decide how you want to use XPS within TM environment. And I have screenshots for your end-to-end process, how they will look with TM. So you will have your sales order created in ECC environment. Depending on the configuration, it will automatically be distributed to SAP TM environment. It will become a document in SAP TM. And then end users will either manually ask the system to perform mode calculation, cheapest carrier and service calculation, or you can run the SAP optimization, SAP optimizer to do various calculations in the background, and user doesn't need to worry about it running it for every sales order. So again, these are all the standard SAP TM screens. Users are not required to go to any custom screen or outside of any standard SAP screens. So as soon as a user will click on the carrier selection button, SAP TM will invoke, SAP TM will realize, okay, for FTL, for Ocean, for LCL, I will use the standard TM calculation, and for parcel service, TM will make a call to XPS service calculation or XPS functions, and XPS will return the rates. So system realizes that this is a parcel service or parcel relevant order, so XPS automatically determine the cheapest carrier in the service here, and user doesn't need to realize, or they don't need to identify anything except to the system. You will have the complete breakdown for the freight charges. So again, you will be able to decide whether you want to do the freight calculation or carrier selection based on the total charges, or just the base, or just the accessorial. So we are trying to again give you all the information that you may need, including the fuel, hazmat, total accessorial, and the base. This is a standard SAP optimizer where a user doesn't need to go to a particular freight order, and they can simply run the optimizer, and system is smart enough to know in the background when to make a call to TM calculation sheet, when to make a call to XPS functions. The results will be calculated and displayed just like standard SAP optimization. So these are the results from SAP TM cockpit, and you will see how and why system selected the FedEx ground service in this environment. So again, you will have full control whether you're using ECC or TM. Now SAP TM determine the mode of transport, it determine the carrier and service. So using the function in TM, you will automatically create the SAP delivery for that particular sales order. So when delivery is created in ECC, when the data is sent back from TM to ECC, it will have the freight, it will the carrier and service automatically calculated. So this was a scenario where you did all of your planning in SAP TM, and you're using SAP ECC for your warehouse operations and execution for parcel carriers. Now, if we talk about the most complex scenario where you have SAP ECC, SAP EWM, and SAP TM. So all three environments are implemented in your SAP ecosystem. So this is a sample process flow on where XPS fits in, what are the components with XPS, and how you will utilize XPS. So you will have your sales order created in ECC. It will be distributed to TM. You will run all of your planning and optimization in TM. XPS will return and do all the calculation for parcel and LTL shipping, decide the carrier and service. Data will go back to ECC. Delivery will be created automatically. Carrier and service is populated. Then for all of your warehouse operations, you will use EWM. You'll perform your pick-pack operations. XPS will be used for carrier validation, labeling, outputs, freight calculation. At the time of goods issue, data will come back to ECC environment, and that is where you will do your visibility, track, trace, freight audit, etc. So this is the most common XPS scenario where you have all of these components, and you can pick and choose which part of XPS will fit into which environment. So what we talked about so far, we have 3 SAP environments, but you have 1 shipping software. So you don't have to worry about when you want to upgrade to, say, EWM, or when you want to implement TM. As long as you're using XPS, you'll be able to support all of those environments. You can pick and choose. Some warehouses that may be running ECC, some warehouses may be running EWM. So again, there are no hard and fast rules on how and when to apply your SAP ecosystem. Since the rating engine is one in the background, so all of your rate calculation will be the same whether you're using an ECC, TM, or EWM. So you'll never have the scenario where your rates are coming up with one value in EWM and another set of rates are coming in, say, ECC or TM. So this is one of the biggest advantages of using one standard software in multiple SAP environments. You can pick and choose what SAP environments you're using. So whether you're using ECC or EWM or a combination of these, XPS will be able to support all of your operations. And again, no middleware is required for XPS usage within SAP environment. Everything is taking place using the standard SAP tools, whether it is SAFE or QRFC or a simple RFC data transfer between SAP, ECC, or EWM or TM environment. So we are trying to minimize or eliminate the requirements for you to invest in XIPI or web methods or simple IDOC destinations. So we are trying to eliminate those requirements. In terms of learning points, and to summarize, there are very complex issues associated with the parcel carriers. They tend to change rules a lot more. It is very difficult to get them to agree to your processes and your formats. UPS and FedEx, they will always, or many carriers in, say, Europe, they'll always force you to use or provide the data in the format that they are expecting. The document should look like based on their rules. And they may change at any point of time. They will give you a couple of months notice, and they will say, okay, after 2 months, we want the labels to look like this. We are making the change in the EDI. So we don't want clients' internal team to have that headache or have that process to find out with the carriers. With XPS, that headache becomes ours. It is our job to make sure we are always staying compliant with the carriers. You are never hearing any chargebacks from the carriers, or you're never getting any complaint back from the carriers about the end-of-day transmission, tracking, freight charge calculation, or labeling. We own that piece. We own the relationship with the carriers. So whether today you may be using FedEx as your preferred carrier, and after 5 months you want to use UPS based on the rate change contract negotiation, you don't have to worry about the limitation of your shipping software. As long as we support that carrier, you can decide to switch carriers at any point of time. And to give you a real-life example, one of our clients in Canada, they were 100% of their carrier, 100% of their shipping was with the Canada Post carriers. So they were shipping about 10 to 15,000 packages every day with Canada Post. And I believe last September or last October, Canada Post had a strike for 4 or 5 days. So rather than client having to worry about how to get the packages, within 2 hours they were able to configure UPS from scratch, and they were able to ship it. So they did not miss a single shipment, and they were able to switch carrier right away. So that's one of the biggest advantages of XPS. Any parcel carrier that we support, you can start using them at any point of time. You have already invested in SAP ecosystem. You want to implement the latest and greatest that SAP is offering you, whether it is an enhancement pack or new SCM suite of applications. XPS will be able to support that. So today you are still using WM. 2 years later or 1 year down the line, you implement EWM in one warehouse or a set of warehouses, you will be able to import or you will be able to configure XPS right from scratch. And again, so you're always staying compliant with the carriers. You're always taking advantage of latest and greatest SAP suites, and you will never have to worry about carrier compliancy or carrier chargebacks. So these are all most of the key aspects, most of the key advantage of what XPS offers you within a standard SAP suite. And this is all I have to discuss from my side. Michael, Gavin, you want to take over, or any questions that we have received?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Raul, for the presentation here. Just to remind everyone that the chat is open to submit your questions. So if you please do so, and as we go through questions here, if there's any follow-on questions, go ahead and ask those, and we'll get those answered. So looks like we did end a little early, so we might have a short Q&A here, and might end before the hour. So with that said, I'll go through some of the a couple of questions that we got in. Raul, what's the highest volume that you've seen a client ship with XPS?
So with XPS, we have a client who, in their busiest environment, in their busiest season, they have shipped 220 to 230,000 packages every day consistently for over a period of 4 to 5 weeks. And on average, that client ships about 100 to 130,000 packages a day. So XPS has been designed for very fast throughput, and it will be able to handle the business growth or business scenario that you are using right now.
Okay. Does XPS support a standalone TM or EWM environment, or does it need ECC?
So XPS can support standalone EWM or TM environment. It is a complete functioning copy of XPS. As long as all of your data elements are present or residing in these environments, we don't need anything from ECC. So as long as data elements are present, XPS will support standalone EWM or standalone TM.
Okay. What about Australia carrier requirements?
So we have a couple of clients in Australia, and we have integrated Star Trek. That's their biggest carrier in Australia. So that is completely integrated with XPS. We have support for UPS and FedEx in Australia, and we are working on a couple of new carriers in Australia. Like they have a carrier called Courier Please. So we are working on integration with them. So again, our aim is to incorporate as many carriers with XPS as possible.
Okay. Does XPS have integration with EH&S?
So XPS supports complete shipping requirements for dangerous goods. How and where the dangerous goods information resides in client's environment, that varies from client to client. We have full integration with the EHS, so if client is using EHS, XPS will be able to retrieve the data automatically from there, and that includes every hazmat, every dangerous goods information that is needed for shipping, and XPS also prints the red border form that is needed by the carrier. If you are a small hazmat shipper, for example, you have like 1 or 2 materials that qualify for hazmat or a few number of materials, and if you're not using EHS, we also have our own internal EHS or custom table or standard XPS tables. We can retrieve the data from there.
Okay. Here's I guess 2 questions in one, so I'll read them off one at a time. If we're using EWM and ERP, does the software need to be required on both systems?
So it depends on how and what your requirements are. So if you just want to use XPS for shipping and rate shopping and the end-of-day manifest transmission, you will just use it in your EWM environment. But if you want to do the rate shopping at the sales order or data validation at the sales order, if you want to do freight audit or track and trace, you will install the components in ECC. So it really varies on what your requirements are and what you're looking for. So before data gets into EWM, if you want to do any carrier rules checks or rate shopping, you will have to install components in ECC as well.
So what about compatibility with ERP 4.7?
XPS supports all the way up to 4.7, so ERP 4.7, ECC 5, ECC 6, up to the latest enhancements pack. So we support XPS is completely compatible, and there are no known issues in the field. Less than 4.7, it depends on the client's basis version, basis release version, what they're using. But 4.7 and onwards is completely compatible with XPS.
Okay. We use SAP ECC, but we're not using SAP for our WMS. Does the system integrate with other WMSs such as PKMS?
So for XPS to work, as long as your delivery and package information comes back to ECC from your WM environment, you'll be able to use XPS. If the delivery and package information resides only in the non-SAP WM environment, then some additional development will be needed so that SAP or XPS can get the data about the number of packages, the weight, etc. But if it already is present in SAP as part of the delivery and package, then XPS will work without any issues.
Or you can just replace PKMS. So the next question, I guess, is similar, but it is a little different. How would XPS interface with third-party warehouses not running any SAP software? Do you understand that? There's probably a couple interpretations there.
So for XPS to function, for XPS to work, we'll need at least one SAP environment. So XPS resides within SAP environment. Without SAP, XPS does not exist. So as long as you have, say, ECC or EWM and TM, you'll be able to install and configure XPS there completely. And then integration needs to be developed using, say, iDocs or web services to your non-SAP environment. But one SAP environment has to present for XPS to exist or XPS to reside in your environment.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but to answer it a different way as well is, if you've got a third-party warehouse that's running their own systems for WMS, but you want them to run your shipping system and you're running SAP, they can run XPS from your SAP instance and do the shipping via SAP, but do all the other WMS functions on their own. Is that a fair statement?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. If we put baddies in place within XPS, how are new releases of XPS handled?
So just like standard SAP framework, standard SAP interface, anything that you will put within the XPS baddies, they will be untouched as part of our upgrades, or enhancement process. So when we send you the new version of XPS, you will import it in and your baddies will stay untouched. So that is where you have peace of mind that all of your existing business rules, existing customizations, they will stay in place.
Okay. And if we're not answering these questions or we're interpreting them differently, please go ahead and add some clarification and resubmit the question. Next question is, does XPS support contract or negotiated rates?
Yes, completely. As part of the rating or shipping transactions, we bring back published rates, contract rates, and that is true for most of the parcel carriers plus the LTL carriers. We also bring back fuel surcharges and total accessorial. So again, all of the information we bring back, and then you can decide what you want to charge to the customer. So some of our clients, they just pass on their discount to the clients, or some of our clients, they mark it up based on various business rules, or they can charge a combination of published versus discounted. So we bring back all of the freight charges.
Okay. And how many countries does XPS support?
So from destination point of view, if carrier ships to that destination, if carrier can deliver to that destination, XPS supports it. So from XPS point of view, it's the origin that is most important, because rest depends on the carrier network. From origin point of view, again, it varies from carrier to carrier. So for UPS, FedEx, all of the Canadian carriers, we support from most of the global origins. Canadian carriers, they only work out of Canada origin, so we support those. DHL, TNT, European carriers, they tend to have different requirements from country to country. So DHL, for example, they have different requirements from Germany, from Netherlands, from UK. So we support almost all of the countries in EU region plus Switzerland for DHL and TNT, and we are adding more and more origins as we encounter them. Similarly, in Asia Pacific regions, we currently have clients who are using FedEx via XPS from India, Japan, South Korea, and China. So the answer varies from carrier to carrier.
Okay. Down to my last one, unless anyone has other questions. What about export documentation? What export documentation supported?
So XPS has a canned template of commonly used export documents. So from the US and from North America regions, system automatically comes with the commercial invoice, NAFTA, certificate of origin, dual language bill of lading. So those are documents that are available to you as part of the standard software. If you have already designed these documents in your ECC, or if you have GTS interface, XPS will automatically interface with the GTS, or if you want us to print your custom documents from ECC, XPS can trigger those. So you have the option to use either our canned certified templates, or we interface to GTS and print the documents from GTS, or we can trigger your custom documents if you have already designed.
Okay. How does XPS perform error handling, as an example, if the shipping system is attempting to ship package to a destination that is not supported by the carrier?
So if you are doing this validation, the sales order or delivery level system will be able to tell you right then and there that this service or this carrier does not ship to this particular destination. So at that point of time, either you can ask the system to rate shop, and system will show you the valid list of all the carrier and services that can ship that weight or number of packages or selected destination. So user doesn't even have the option to select something that is not valid for that destination. But suppose you have not done this validation or data check at the sales or the delivery level, package arrives in the warehouse, and system user is trying to ship via that carrying service, that is not valid. System will tell them that it is not valid to this destination, and then at that point of time, user will need to make a decision to either call someone in the customer service to change it and try to ship again, or they can change it on our screen.
And then short question just says scale, so I guess if you can just describe the scale integration.
So any scale, so we don't go by the manufacturer, scale manufacturer. Any scale that is connected to your shipping station via a serial port, XPS will be able to support it. So it doesn't matter whether you're using Waytronics, NCI, Parcel Pro, the manufacturer is irrelevant to us. Any serial port connection, XPS will be able to support it without any additional software. That's part of the standard XPS.
The presentation today. Again, if anyone has any follow-on questions, you can reach us. Raul, you moved in. Yeah, there it is. You can find us at logi-star.com. On that website, you'll have access to the replay of this webinar along with our additional webinars that are out there and our full resource library for white papers, etc. And you can follow up with more information by writing to info@logi-star.com. So with that, I'd like to thank Raul and thank all of our attendees for joining us today. And you have a good day.